Welcome to all the classic car enthusiasts, especially the Mini guys. We'll be doing some work on the Jaguar soon because we're going to run out of parts to build the Mini back up. But just to finish off what I was saying yesterday in part one of these ball joints, Max, the guy that does has all the Minis near here where I live, who's, as I've said many times before, is a bit of a guru. He's been doing Minis for 40 years, and what he doesn't know is not worth knowing. He came past yesterday because basically what's happening is this car, when I bought this car, it was a 1.3 SPI, and it's an 86, sorry, it's a 94 model, 96 model, and they made the wiring looms in these cars to have carburation or the fuel injection, which wasn't real fuel injection, it was a carburetor, but it had, you had to have an ECU with it, and electronics and all kinds of, and pipe work and sensors, and just a nightmare. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to put it back to, I'm going to put it to carburation, and I'm going to swap all the wiring loom I have, plus the ECU and all the other bits, with Max, because he's got so many Minis, and I'll get the 1 3/4 SU carburetor, because there's less to go wrong, and I hate electronic stuff anyway. So I'm going to turn it back into a carbureted version, which will have exactly the same power anyway, so it's not a big deal. So he came past yesterday to have a look at some of the stuff, because obviously the fuel tank is different, because on the single point injection you had 3 lines, because you had a return and a fuel, a special filter system and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of pressurised line. So with this Mini, I'll put the older tank in with the single line. Anyway, that being said, he came past and was giving us a few pointers on a few things, which I'll now show you. But going on to these ball joints, he mentioned something last night, which is actually, when you think about it, it's quite obvious, but it's not obvious if you don't know. And this is why I'm doing these videos, and that's why other people do them, because if you don't know, you don't know. One of the things he mentioned is when you're doing the knuckle down, you've got the ball joint through it, when you've got your shims on, try and put the thickest shims, these shims when you put them in, try and put the thickest one underneath the bolt, and put the thinner ones underneath. So, and the reason for that is actually, when you think about it, it's quite obvious. When the shims are sitting, they're sitting down over on the threaded bit, and when you go to turn, you've got to tighten this nut. So if the shim is very fine, you know, an 1/8 thou or 3, whatever it might be, a very fine shim, you're going to tear on it when this turns. Yeah, and it makes absolute sense to me. I never thought about it, but it's a very smart idea. So put the largest or the thickest shim you have, if it's I don't know, a 20 thou, whatever it is, 30. Put that one nearest the nut so that the nut doesn't damage it, because the thin ones will get caught and they can get ripped. So that's a really handy little tip, that. The next thing we've put the suspension in, the front subframe back in. The other thing is obviously we've put the bearings back in because we had to get on with it. I just wanted to show you this. This is the seat for the bearing, and this is a tool that you can buy, and it's in a kit, and I'll show it you right now, and you can see that is a perfect fit. So instead of trying to hit down on here where you could damage it, if you get something like that, it's going to fit in, and there's different sizes, and I'll show you. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. You can see it's just basically all it is just a nut and bolt, and you just change whatever size you want, and the kit was quite reasonably cheap. I can't remember what it was, but I'll show it to you now. So it's from a company called Tool Zone, and I think it was 20 quid or so. It wasn't much, and you can see there's all different sizes there, and basically you just, whatever size whatever size inner race you've got, you can just put it on. And it's not just for bearings, you can use it for anything with a taper on it like that, and then you just put the bolt back in and away you go. And you can see you've got a nice little fit. So it's a nice bit of kit. What's that? It's a nice bit of kit, so if you're going to put bearings in, that's the way to go with them. So I'm going to show you the car, what we've been up to. So I'll pick the camera up now and show you where we are with it. So yes, those wheels are awful, but we needed to put it on the ground. It's the only wheels I've got from the other Mini. These came off the black Mini, and obviously they look awful. But it's going to be another 2 or 3 days before we get the 7.5s back, the Yokohamas. But we needed to put it on the ground just to get it off the jacks and so on. But they look awful, don't they? It looks like a noddy car with them on it. Anyway, you know, when that arch is full with that 7.5, it looks, the road style wheel, it looks great. Anyway, so I'm just going to show you so we've put this, as you can see, this is all back in. Put the suspension in. The one thing you want to remember, and Max mentioned this, is these bump stops, they need to go in before you put the high-lows in, or you put the trumpets in, because it's nearly impossible to get a spanner up the back there. And you might see there's a 4mm washer in between there. Now Max suggested this because the 13s, the 13 wheels need to be stopped earlier, or they'll hit the arch. And that's why the smaller wheels didn't have them in, the smaller diameters. So, and these are 13s on these are 12s, and the 13s are the Yokohamas that I have. So so he suggested to do that. So we've put it all in, the high-lows all in, ready to go. The only thing I didn't have that lower bump stop there, which you can put in. You can jack this up when the engine's in and put this one back in afterwards. This one is very difficult to get the nut on there. Even with getting your fingers up there is difficult. So that's one of the things you should definitely be doing. We put everything in before we lifted the subframe in place. And with these high-lows, if you're lucky, you can get away without compressing the rubber cone, if you're lucky. If not, all you need is a 12mm bolt, a 14mm bolt, which is the same as the thread internally. And you don't need that, you need a thinner washer, depends on what type of subframe you have. But you can just pull it up, and then it's very easy to get the ball in, and so on and so forth. If you've got a tool which is for compressing these cones from the top, it won't work on, unless it's an adapter type. The older style won't work because it needs the thickness of the bulkhead, you know, that thickness of the bulkhead itself in here, the box section, to make it operate. Anyway, the steering rack is on. That's all been put back into place. The reason that there is no disc on here or brake is because we have to move the car and we need it mobile, and so what we've done is just put it on like this. So all these bolts are not tightened up properly, and you can see why that's quite stiff. And if you look on the other side here, you can see that's quite loose. It's in fact a little bit too loose, so we're going to have to redo these ball joints. As you can see, the bits are on this side as well. Yeah, so we're definitely getting there. You can see there's even the battery thing's gone, but everything's kind of going back, and you can see there. Let me bring this lamp up because it's kind of in the way. It's getting a bit dark in here, it's getting night. But you can see there's the aluminium spacers, and you can see them there on the bottom. And then there's the high-lows in there. And this is a original subframe, not new, just painted up and cleaned up. It's in very good condition. Anyway, so yeah, just wanted to give you an update. Lastly is this. We're going to go over this tomorrow. This is the bits we're going to put in for the. You can see how they work, but we'll show you how we do it tomorrow, and we'll actually do it on camera for you. Hopefully we don't screw it up, but we'll get it all set up first and let you have a look how it all goes in. And we found a nice alternative to the phone. Anyway, thanks for watching, and catch you up tomorrow. Bye for now. Take care. Bye.